So Judge Andrew Napolitano and Scott Ritters was going on a trip to Russia to attend a conference in St. Petersburg, I believe. And they went into this problem. Let me show you just a short clip.
But before we get to why I am not there, what happened to you yesterday at John F. Kennedy Airport in New York?
Well, I was in the process of doing the final boarding of the aircraft where, right before you cross the threshold into the airplane, the airline attendants ask, just to review your tickets and your passport. And I handed it to them. They motioned to go on the airplane, and suddenly three uniformed, armed Customs and Border Patrol officers came up and asked if I was, William Scott Ritter Jr. I said, yes, I am. They ushered me out of the line. Then they demanded that I give them my passport, which I complied with. And then they asked me that if this was my only travel document, do I have any other travel documents? I said, no, this is my U.S. passport. It's the passport I use to travel overseas, and I have used frequently, including to Russia. And they said, well, we're seizing it. And I said, on what authority? They said, on the orders of the United States State Department. I said, who in the State Department? They said, we don't know. I said, well, who ordered you to do this? So you obviously are, we don't know. We can't tell you. We're not authorized to tell you. They wouldn't give me a receipt for the passport. They just said, you got to contact the State Department. I said, who in the State Department? They said, we don't know. You're going to have to figure that one out. Then they got my bags off the airplane and escorted me out of the security zone into the general, where you walk in, and said, you're free to leave. And that was that.
Now, I don't want to tell you guys who Scott is. You guys can check him out and check his videos. There's many. Now, there are audience in my channel who constantly ask me to go on other podcasts and voice my opinion or, the Chinese perspective. I did receive a few invitations already. But again, I want to postpone this kind of thing because I want to restate that the goal of this channel, the main purpose, is to show you guys the Chinese position, narrative, perspective of the world. My personal opinion on this matter is secondary, not that important. If I start to go to some of those channels, some inner agency here in US will think that I'm carrying a certain hidden agenda for a foreign country, which I'm not. Because most of the guests on those channels, they carry a clear agenda. I don't want to paint myself or position myself that way. I just want you guys to get more honest opinions from China. Now, regarding Ukraine war, for example, Scott is very vocal about it. He thinks crazy. He's always spreading this potential doomsday scenario, which is quite valid. I'll tell you at the end of this video why, For me, I'm more leaning on just telling the truth. I don't want to get into those, hype topics. So, for example, this is what I'm trying to do here. And if you are pro-Ukraine, if, let's say, Zelensky insulted China or Xi Jinping gravely, and all the Chinese people are mad and Xi Jinping is mad, and we decided to send, let's say, 500,000 Chinese volunteers to Ukraine to, fight against Ukrainians and help the Russians. Don't you want to know about this kind of preparation, this kind of plan? Because it doesn't matter if you're pro-Ukraine or pro-Russia, right? You want to see this kind of things coming ahead of time. And this is kind of same thing I would say like at the beginning of the war. There are many Western news outlets flooding the media with this kind of garbage information. You guys remember all those think tanks narrative, China and Russia don't trust each other. They will turn on each other and China is backing off and will isolate Russia and the war will be run. And, all you guys I know that remember watching all those fancy YouTube geopolitical channels, with those fancy animations. And many people in the West I talk to, even my friends, okay, they take those videos as facts. And when I had a conversation with them, they are like, oh, I know China. I know China better than you do, okay? Because I watch all those informative third-party educational video. Let me tell you guys what I think about those videos, okay? The bigger the channel, the more fancy the video, animated animation with all those nice graphics and things like that, the more suspicious their backers is. That's how I see it, all right? They're not exactly always telling you lies, but they're telling you only the things that are in their interest for you to know. So they only want you to know the things that are in their interest. That's what I'm saying. For example, at the beginning of the war, it is their interest for months, okay, for you guys to think that Russia is running out of ammo, to make you feel like the world is backing Ukraine against Russia. And when China is not playing along the sanction game or blaming Russia, they want you to think that China is going to turn on Russia anytime, right? Remember those videos? That it is favorable to continue to back Ukraine in a certain way because victory is close. It's like many of the past war, World War One or World War Two, the government always tell the soldier, the war is gonna be finished in 2-3 months. You guys are all coming back for Christmas or something like that, which then you ask for like months and decades and years, right? But what I'm telling you guys is China has more or less backing Russia for years. That will also be in my future videos. I will tell you guys how China and Russia have been working together in this kind of anti-color revolution projects, anti-regime change projects around the world. This Ukraine case is not the first time China and Russia is kind of semi-working together. This is important for my pro-Ukrainian friends, whether you're Ukrainian or Europeans, to understand that whatever cost you think you're willing to take in order to defeat Russia in Ukraine, it is going to be much higher with China backing Russia, all right? That you must recalculate the price of victory. I'm not trying to convince you to become Russia leaning, but I'm trying to tell you that you need to be more sensible with your thinking and your mindset. That you have to, let me make a few points here. How feasible is victory, whatever you consider as victory, and with China backing Russia, how feasible that is, okay? And then there's the time, resources, human lives that will go into this project to defeat Russia. How remote that chance is, okay? And then the third point, you have to understand that US is not the US 30, 50 years ago, and Russia is not a collapsing Soviet Union, okay? And China is not just an oversized North Korea and Iran. And this is difficult to explain, I would say, especially to Europeans who don't travel to China that often. You need to understand the magnitude of this current issue. That you have to face reality. That's what Scott Ritters and Jeffrey said always to say, that we're in a very risky time in history, that things can really escalate out of hands. And you need to reevaluate the cost and potential consequences. And this channel help to give you those information that the mainstream media might not want to tell you. They might not want to tell you this China-Russian alliance is quite solid. And to us, Russia really don't want to recreate the Soviet Union, but I mean, you guys just believe it so 100%. I try to have discussion. You can watch my other videos on that, and I will also provide some future videos hopefully for you to see more of an inclusive picture of the world, okay? Now, I want to draw a final point here. And this is not just now, but it's actually made quite early in the war. When one, try to make a projection of geopolitical events, okay? Try to make forecasts to see what might happen in the future. They need to really get the facts from all sides correctly. What I'm trying to say here is that you need to understand what Russian thinks, what the Russian regime thinks, and you need to accept that. Just like when Chinese trying to make projection about this war, okay? We accept what, let's say, Eastern Europeans are thinking, what US is thinking, what they're trying to do, and also how Russia see this whole thing. And then we'll pick the picture together and see that, okay, what is the likely scenario and outcome. And there are Chinese expert geopolitical analysts on this war. They predicted that this war will not end until it escalates to a nuclear level, or there might be another siege of Kiev. So today, like I said, today's Russia is not really collapsing Soviet, and with China backing it. Yeah, you really need to think about, how far you want to go down this path. And thanks for watching this video. I will see you guys in the next video.